All right, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us today. My name is Jess, and I'm the marketing manager here at Index.io. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, just place them into the chat window and we'll answer them at the end. We'll also be recording this, and a link to the recording will be included in the follow-up email. So I'm sure it's no secret to any of you that the legal world is facing a boatload of challenges with electronic discovery. Challenges like data accessibility, scalability, management, and overwhelming costs. And these challenges are the exact reason Index.io was created. We took the latest technologies and made the most comprehensive e-discovery tool in the industry. So what's so special about us? Well, Index.io is a true do-it-yourself intuitive platform, meaning you can get up and running in minutes without ever talking to a sales rep or even utilizing a project manager. We also cut traditional processing times from days to minutes with our auto scale technology. Need to fire up Index.io on the go? No problem. We offer a free mobile iPad app that is easy, intuitive, and secure. You can literally review, code, redact, and organize your e-discovery documents no matter where you are. Index.io is also the only e-discovery solution that provides a daily hosting model. So what does this mean? Well, it means you have more predictable billing, easier project management, and no minimum hosting charges. There are also no long-term restricting contracts, no licensing fees, no user fees, and no minimums per month. And now for the main event. For today's presentation, Austin, our support representative here at Index.io, is going to lead the demo discussion for you today. Austin?
All right, thanks for that intro, Jess, and thanks for everyone for joining us today. Give me just one sec while I get my screen shared with you here, and we'll dive right into the demo. So if you haven't used us before, if you're coming in as a fresh client, the first thing you'll need to do is sign up for your free account, and you can do that by going to app.indexed.io. Fill out this form, hit create account, and that's going to email you a link where you'll set your password. And that's it. All user accounts are free. You can have an unlimited amount of people working on your projects. All of the billing is done per project, so you don't have to worry about licenses or restrictions like that. And everyone who signs up actually gets a free demo project. Once you actually sign into the platform here in the top right, you should see right off the bat called My First Project, and that's going to let you process up to 5 gigabytes of data. You can use all of our search and review functions, add as many users to it as you need. The only thing it's going to restrict is, like I said, that 5 gigabyte data limit, and it won't let you export productions back out until you actually activate it. But let me dive into this project here, and I'll show you a little bit of what the system can do. Right off the bat, the first thing you're going to see is this Getting Started page. If you haven't worked in the project yet, it'll take you to this, starting landing page where you can add data. You can watch a little video here that shows you around the system a bit. And there's some links to other sections of the project, the admin area, collections, custodians. It gives you some information about how the project works. The first thing I want to do here is add some data to the project. So I'm going to hit that button. I'll give it a collection name here. Custodian. Hit next, and I'm going to do the basic function with the drag and drop here. We also can connect to the Iio Drive, which is an FTP server that every project gets. When you sign up for an account or every time you add a project from there, it's going to email you credentials to access this SFTP server. You can upload files to there, and then when you go to add data, you'll be able to see all of those and select them. We can also connect to external FTP and S3 servers. We can connect to IMAP-enabled email accounts and suck in an entire email account. All you need to know is the username and password for that. And we also integrate with Dropbox. If you've already got your data stored in that location, we can connect your Dropbox account. It'll let you authenticate and select the files from there. But for keeping it easy here, I'm going to drop this zip file that I've prepared here, hit save. It's going to upload. And that's it. Now it's processing in the project. So at this point, if you know you've got a big data set, it's going to take a little bit to get through. All you've got to do really is do that. You can shut your computer down, close your browser. It's going to handle all of it on our end now that it's on our servers, and it'll send you an email alert once that's finished and ready for you. So now that that's processing, I'm going to go back, and this is the actual homepage view for the project. This is what it'll look like when you've already added data and you've come in and done some work. You can always get back to that Getting Started page if you want by clicking the link up in the top left. So now that we have some data added, I'm going to go ahead and go into the admin area, and I'm going to add some users to this project. So from the admin section, you switch over to the Users tab, hit Invite User, and you'll fill out the email. a role for them. By default, each project has an admin, which gets full control, a review manager, which handles batching and some of the review burn down chart stuff that I'll get into, and then the user role, which is the standard user role. It's got very limited restrictions right up front, but you can go in and customize what data they can see, what tabs they're able to see in the project. I'll show you a little bit of that here in a second. Let's invite a new user here. They're invited. Now they've gotten an email. It's going to link them to this project. If they don't already have an account, it'll take them to the sign up page and they can create an account and then get into the let's customize their role a little bit now. I talked about some of those user permissions. So this user role I've set up in this project, it doesn't have admin permissions. It's not a review manager. And the only stuff they can do in the project is tag documents and run reports. They can't add new data, can't download things, can't export data back out. They're not managing batches. They're just getting to their data, doing their review, keeping it very straightforward. You can even restrict their view of the data over here on the right. If you've set tags up in the project, you can restrict them to certain batches, certain tag data sets. For example, in this user role, I'm hiding duplicates and system files from them so that their review is as straightforward as possible. They just see exactly the data that they need. So now that we've added a user, let's go ahead and go back to the main project page, and I want to run some searches and set up a batch for them. So up here at the top, there's this basic search bar where you can combine keywords. I can do a search for test. Let's do test and Brian. You'll see I added this full case, full capital case and keyword here. That's one of the operators you can use in this toolbar. The others are or and not. If you put any of those in as capitals, it's going to treat that as an operator for your other keywords. And you'll see this bar here is actually turned red, which means I have an invalid query in here. I put two of those right next to each other and I didn't fill out anything else, so it doesn't know what to do with that. I have to delete those before it's going to actually run the search. And then you'll see it turn green and my results update here at the bottom. If you need to get any fancier than just the basic keyword searching, we have an advanced search feature, which is this drop-down arrow here at the end. And this is where I do most of my searching in cases. This is what I like to recommend to people because it makes it very easy to just grab a field you're looking at. For example, created date over here on the left, drag it out onto the right. It'll pop up a little calendar and I can pick, I'd say I want to see just documents from this month of this year. And it's as easy as that. You can combine those with however many you need. So if I want to see documents between that date, maybe emails from a specific user, you can hit the drop down. It'll fill in a bunch of users that it's extracted from the data, or you can start typing and it'll autofill and restrict that drop down a little bit more here. But to keep it simple, let's go back to our basic keyword search here. I'm going to set up a batch just from test and Brian. Now that's a data set that I'm going to want him to add. So here, now that I've got my search results, I'm going to hit the batching button here at the top. It's these three little boxes stacked on top of each other. I'll give it a name. We'll call that Brian's review. And 200 files per batch is great because there's only 4 here. If you had, several thousand, you can set a number there and let it break it into sets of 500, however many you want to break it apart into. And it'll create multiple batches so you can assign them to multiple users or just so that they know they can do one at a time and then come back to the next one later. I'm going to hit start. It's going to batch those up for me. If I go back to the project homepage now, you'll see that added to the rest of my batches here at the bottom. And this is a great page. This is the page that the review manager role does most of their work in, but you can assign this to other users, configure their permissions, allow them to get in here and access this. Or if you're just doing the whole case yourself, you're a one and done, you don't have a big team working on it, then you'll just be able to come here and configure things for yourself. But here it's going to give you a breakdown of the total number of items you have in your batches, how many have been reviewed, your progress towards completing them. You can assign these batches to people, edit them, delete them if you need. And then up at the top, you have this nice burn down chart that lets you kind of track your progress through the review. So what these bars are doing here, this blue bar is your target burn down. So it says my daily review target for the number of items I have batched is 19. As long as I do 19 per day from the state range, I'll finish by the end of it. And you can see this green bar here. That's going to show you your daily review target. As I start reviewing some of these items, you'll get a bar that pops up once you know you're over that daily review target. You're all set and you're on track. Once you actually click into any of these batches, it's going to bring you to your batched list here. You can see up at the top your progress through all of them. I've got 1 reviewed out of the 4 in this set. You can click on an item here and it's going to pop it up in the viewer. You'll be able to see the PDF that we generated, Over here, you'll see any tags that are applied to the document. Since I ran a search to get to this set, it's actually still remembering that, and it's finding all these places where I've searched for test, and it's going to try and find them in the document for me. You can switch over to the metadata tab here if you want to view more information about the file, created dates, email headers if it was an email, great information like that. If you've exported it, you can see it actually adds the Bates numbers back into the record, so you can search on all of these once they've been produced. Our system tracks all of that for you and makes it really easy to get back to your data set. So let me configure a tag form now, since we're going to need to use that during our review. So I'm coming back to the admin area here in the top left, and I'm going over to forms. And tag forms are customizable per user role, just like everything else in the project. Since it's just me working right now, I'm going to set this up for the admin. And I want to be able to mark items as responsive or not responsive, privileged, and reviewed when I'm done with them. So I've set up this tagging form. I'm going to go back to the home page for the project, go into my batch. Now we can start actually reviewing. So if I click on one of these, go back to the coding tab, now you're going to see those tags we just set up here and make them available. So you can hit next, go to the next item. Let's say this one's responsive and it's privileged. I'm done reviewing it. Now I'm going to go to the next. This one's already been marked, so I'm going to the next one here. And pretty much just like that, you know, it makes it very easy to get forward and backwards through your documents, do your tagging. We even have keyboard shortcuts. If you come down here in the bottom left and click this keyboard icon, you can quickly mark items as reviewed if you're more of a keyboard person. Use your left and right arrows to navigate through your documents and kind of speed things up that way. You'll see also under the tagging form here, we've got a notes section. You can apply a regular note to your documents if you just want to make a comment about it for yourself. If you hit this drop down, it will also let you apply a privilege log note. So if you're doing a priv review of items and you know you're going to run a priv log at the end, it's nice to come in here and make those notes while you work. Then at the end, you can just tell it to generate a report. It's going to kick that back out for you with all of that information already filled in. Since I've mentioned reports, up here at the top of any of your file lists, whether you've run a search, you're looking at a batch, you're just browsing a collection, however you're getting to your data list here, you should see this report button. And this is going to let you run two different types of reports. There's a tag report, which just gives you a count of all of the applied tags. So it'll tell you you have 200 items marked privileged, 300 marked reviewed, 300 were duplicates. That whole breakdown will be available in that report. And then the resource report is very customizable. This lets you select any of the metadata fields for a document. If you were going to run a priv log, I would say we'd grab like the ID, maybe the original file name. Some of the email headers are available down here at the bottom so we can see who the communication was from. And then, of course, that privilege notes field that I talked about earlier. Hit save, and it's going to run that report for you. Back to the home page here, and I'll show you how to get to those. And you can see it's very quick. That report's already done. I can hit download. It'll give it to me. If I want to return to it later, there's a report tab here. It tracks every report that you've run in the project. And you can return to those at any time. A couple other tabs here that we have available are the pre and post processing overview tabs. These are great for getting kind of a high-level view of your data when you first put it in. Make sure that everything processed correctly. You get documents in the timeline that you're expecting. We'll extract email domains so that you can quickly get to email communications from specific parties. And we do a lot of tagging during processing for things like duplicates, password protected files, potentially personal information like credit card and social security numbers. All of that gets identified, and you can kind of navigate to that with these system tags here. And at the very bottom, this is one of my favorite features, is the communication chart. You can set how many people you want to look at. Let's look at the top 15 communications in this project. And it'll give you a breakdown of who's talking to who. So you can see a big chunk of this is a schedule crawler. They must have had some sort of automated system running that's talking to all these different people. And then all of these people here are talking to various ones. You can kind of see who the important actors are in your data set and narrow your project down from there. Collections tab here, this is where all your data is going to live. Once you've added it the first time through that Getting Started page, this is where you'll want to come to review any of the data that you've added or add new data to the project. You can select multiple collections to browse or just click on a single one to get into it. And it's going to give you that same pre and post processing breakdown that you see for the whole project, but specific to this collection. And then, of course, you can come over here to browse your data set. A cool thing when you're doing the collection view is there's this show filter button where you can actually open up and use tags to filter the data set as well. So this is pre-filled from when I was looking at my batch, but say I wanted to come in here and look at items that I've marked privileged, not duplicates, and not exported. Let's say that. So we update that, it'll show me. Looks like nothing meets that criteria in this data at the moment. But it's a very powerful tool to kind of organize your data and look at specific sets. For example, if you wanted to find anything that might have been marked privileged that accidentally got exported, you could look for both of those tags on a record. Looks like my project here, since it's a demo, that has happened a couple of times. And you can see the privilege tag has this red icon on it. Any project tags that you create yourself are going to be color coded with like blue, red, purple. You can set that color. And then system tags that we're doing automatically are these black ones. So anytime you export data, those are just automatically getting marked for you. You don't have to keep track of that or remember to tag the whole set. Since we've talked about export a little bit, I'm going to jump over to that. So when you're ready to export your data back out for production, it makes it very easy. There's a 3-step wizard here with a confirmation page that walks you through the whole process. I'm going to give it a name to my export, select my collection. It's going to tell me how many files I have, how many pages, how big it is. Gives you a few warnings here as well. For example, I've got some duplicates in this set, it looks like, some redacted items, a couple items without pages, and then processing exceptions are items that we had issues with. Maybe it was password protected, maybe it was a corrupt file, maybe it didn't get uploaded all the way, but something that has an issue. So these warnings are nice to review before you actually kick your data back out. I'm going to turn all of these off for now. Check that I've reviewed and go to next. Here's where you'll pick your output options. This is how you want the data to come back out. So for this production, I want PDF images, and I also want natives for files that I'm going to placeholder. So I'm going to change that over from always to placeholder. If you pick always, it's going to give you a native copy for every single document in the project that you're exporting. And the native copy is just the one that you uploaded to us. It's the original format that it came in. Underneath that, I get to pick the files I want to placeholder. And so what this is doing is it's just going to put in a slip sheet for the PDF that says this was produced natively. That way you're not creating a 10,000 page PDF out of a spreadsheet. You're just going to give them a spreadsheet, or same for presentations. You can do the spreadsheet or the presentation automatically, or other documents that you've tagged in advance. If you know you want a placeholder like audio files or video files, you can tag those and tell it to placeholder. Down at the bottom, you get to pick a load file. This is just used for loading our productions into other systems, or for getting a nice spreadsheet view of all of the metadata and Bates numbers that we're assigning all of this information. If you're not sure what they need, the basic production covers most of the bases. That's a standard concordance formatted DAT file. And the Iio CSV is going to be absolutely everything that we can offer. That's just a CSV file, like I mentioned, that you can open up in Excel and browse the metadata, Bates numbers, and track all that information for everything. We'll go to next here. I'll set up my Bates numbers. Do that. I don't want a delimiter. I just want it to go right into the number. And let's say we're going to start at 450. So you can see it updates, gives me a preview of what that Bates number is going to look like. You can also do other endorsements on your records. If I want to mark all these items confidential, type that in here. It's going to brand all of these with that label as well as the Bates number. Hit next. It's going to give me a nice summary breakdown of all the settings I've picked here. You can hit Start Export, and it'll kick that off for you, run it through. You'll see here, it's going to give you a status bar as it progresses, and once it's finished, you'll get a download button. You can come back to this page and download the production. And you'll see if we switch back to the Tags tab now, you'll see the project tags that have been set up. I'm going to switch over to System Tags, just so you guys can see. Page 2 test 129.619, tag that whole set for me automatically. So you can use that tag to come back to that data set if you're not sure exactly how it was run, or you can't remember the search you did to get to that. That's all tracked and logged in there for you. And as far as logging goes, let me go back to the admin area here. This is a nice thing to touch on as we're nearing the end of our presentation. Here's the project audit log. This is why we offer, part of why we offer free user accounts, is it makes it very easy for everyone to get in and work under their separate account. And all of these actions that they're doing get tracked per that account. So you can see exactly what your team's doing, who's tagging what, who's looking at what files. It's very powerful to go back through and audit exactly what happened in a project. So that's near the end of our basic demo here. If you have any questions while you're getting started working in the system, we do have some contact us options. If you come over here on the left, we've got a live chat available or phone support during our business hours. That's 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And of course, email 24/7. You may not have a response until the next business day, but if it's an emergency, there's some options in there to escalate it. You can get help when you need. You hit support. There's also a great section here with some tutorials. Introductory video series that covers most of this demo and probably goes a little bit more in depth as well. I think it's about a 30-40 minute video series. There's some great text articles if you're more of a reader about where do I start when I'm working in the project. And you can search using the search bar up here at the top to find things for specific functions. Pretty much anything you can do in the system is logged somewhere in here. So lots of great information if you're a do-it-yourself type person. And that is the end of our demo here. Jess, have we had any Q&A questions come in so far?
Not yet.
I'll give everybody a couple of minutes to ask some questions here if anything's come up. Let's see. While we're waiting on some of those to come in, let me show you one other cool thing we've got. At the end of the search bar here, there's this Get Help button. And this will take you straight to our searching article. This is our most used document in the tutorial section. This is going to give you a breakdown on how to use the search bar to look for phrases, do proximity or wildcard searches. You can combine all of those in different ways here. This article breaks all of it down. You can even search specific metadata fields in the quick search bar there if you know how to format them. For example, project tags. If you have that ID, you can format that. And you can get pretty complex as far as the queries you're running through here. This article has a lot of good information on that. And then at the bottom, it'll give you a basic demo of the advanced search as well. Kind of walk you through how to save searches, share them with other users, all that great information. And I haven't seen any questions come in, so we're going to wrap up there. Thanks again for everyone for joining us today. We hope to see you at our next webinar next month.